So the idea that 30 to 40% of your online revenue should come from email marketing in your platform, your email marketing platform, is not an exaggerated number. It is also not a number that you're supposed to be chasing, but it is a fact. It is a reality for a lot of businesses who are very mature in how they've got their email campaigns and flow set up in Klaviyo, for example. You could be using another platform. And so in this video, we're going to talk about where this 30 to 40% number even comes from, but also how can you as a brand achieve those numbers over time. All right, let's get into it. All right, so why email can bring 30 to 40% of e-commerce revenue? Let's get into it. So the goal is to help you understand the reason why, but the main point will be that this is something you achieve over time, okay, as a brand. It doesn't just happen as soon as you start campaigning. So Klaviyo's benchmarks, customer use cases, especially the ones that are really mature. When we say mature, meaning like their Klaviyo account is fully optimized and set up properly, are the ones that are seeing this, but they're seeing it over time. So 30 to 40% range reflects the behavior of these systems over time. It's not an arbitrary target. And email is capturing a larger share of the revenue over time when there's three specific conditions that are met, right? So the first is stable acquisition. Let me move my face here. So consistent month over month traffic and first time purchases, and you're not relying on like sporadic promotions like 30% off, 40% off, things like that, right? So you've got a stable acquisition, common repeat purchases, right? So these are not one-time customers. So when customers buying, they're coming back. Significant portion of the customers come back. That way, you're basically taking advantage of that true lifecycle opportunities, right? And beyond the first sale, right? You want the repeat customers. Third thing is implemented lifecycle flows, which means your automated emails are taking advantage of that traffic, of that repeat customer base. And so you've got the critical stages of the onboarding, the post-purchase, replenishment, reactivation, and win back. These are the flows that you absolutely have to have as a base. There's quite a few other ones that you have to have as far as flows are concerned, but these are like bare minimum, right? So the revenue mix shift, email rarely drives large share of the revenue at launch, but it grows in importance over time. And that's what we're trying to show here. Let me move my face here. So you've got the early stage where most revenue comes from paid acquisition, right? And then in the growth stage, you have a repeat buyer increase, right? So more and more customers are coming back. And so your retention channel begins to contribute towards this 30 to 40% range that we talked about. In a mature state, your email captures a larger share of that customer base, because the revenue, because the automated flows are monetizing the repeat customers, and you're not spending additional ad dollars for those transactions, for those sales, right? So that's the mature state you want to be in. And the shift happens as a result of retention compounding. It's not increased send volume, send more often in a week or in a month to everyone on your subscriber list, but it's more the compounding effect. And so this graph just shows like early stage, you have a lot of ad spend, and then you're just starting your, let's say, email campaigns and flows are set up and optimized and everything. And then as you progress into the mature stage, you've got a larger portion coming from email. This other is basically revenue that's not from ads or emails, like let's say organic search transactions coming from there. But the mature stage is what you want to get to, but it just takes time. So the purpose of email marketing isn't to generate demand. You've already generated demand for your product or your service. And so by running ads or doing organic social media posts, etc., campaigns, but now email compounds on that, right? The demand that you've already created. And so you've got these two sides, right? The paid ads, the acquisition side, and then on the right side, you got the monetization of email, and then the second purchase and the third, and then the VIPs and all this other flows that segments that you've got, and then the flows that you've got going on. And then, so once the CAC is paid, Every email driven purchase has a higher margin because you've already acquired that customer. Now you're using your retention channels, your email, to bring that customer back for repeat purchases without spending ad dollars, right? And so let me move myself up. No action, no bidding, no platform tax, etc. Right from your email platform, revenue efficiency improves automatically because you've acquired this customer. Now you're using your retention channels to generate more sales per customer. And that's the core reason email's revenue share grows over time, right? So why does the flow change the math, right? Why flows change the math? So in a mature Klaviyo account, flows often send fewer messages. And in my previous videos, we talked about sending fewer campaigns or messages flows, but targeted, right? The key is to be targeted. They generate more of the total revenue when you do that. Timing and relevance do the work for you, essentially, right? Most brands are underestimating email, and campaign revenue depends on how often you plan and send emails, etc. Yes, we know that, but flows generate revenue automatically, right? Based on customer behavior, browsing, purchasing, becoming inactive, or being a VIP, being your best customer, for example, they keep buying from you. Those are all behaviors. And so as volume increases, the flow revenue scales without additional work, essentially, because they're triggered by these actions and events, right? And so the campaigns, we want to make a distinction here. They're short-driven, they're linear in revenue, but the flows are you optimize and you set up and you optimize one time. And so then it just compounds, right? Because it's just keep running in the background, generating revenue. The CAC pressure and margin protection, right? So competition increases, ads get more expensive, margins are squeezed. We know this, but email doesn't remove that pressure, but instead of paying for every single sale, your systems are generating the repeat revenue. Your email campaigns and flows specifically are generating the revenue at a much lower marginal cost, right? So email becomes more important as CAC rises, of course, because we know this, the cost of acquiring every new customer goes up, right? As time goes on, the competition's bidding more for the same keywords, etc. And when you do have that new customer, you want to have your email retention systems, because email becomes more important, right? Because now you've got the customer. Let me come back here. And so your margins will go up, but the cost is relatively the same. This doesn't increase your cost, right? And why some brands never reach this 30 to 40% range? A couple of things, right? So it's not because of the tools or tactics, but they just treating email like it's just a campaign, like just, okay, let's blast everybody. We have a promotion and then we have another one and then we have another one. What's my competition doing? Let me do the same thing. So they don't have a system, right? Their revenue depends on campaigns instead of just also using the automated flows in a strategic and smart way. Lifecycle gaps allow customer to drop off silently. You don't have the flows. You don't have that specific intention to go after the customers that have purchased once, but you haven't seen them in a couple months, right? Or they haven't made a purchase, but they've come to your website and they keep coming, but they're not really buying. So those are the gaps that you have to, take care of. Oversending erodes engagement, right? You're just blasting people all the time. They're just tired of seeing the same promotional messages that you keep sending them. So without a system level retention, email can't compound, right? And so revenue share will inevitably be low. So that's obvious, right? With that, I'm going to wrap up the video, but join the discussion. Let me know if you want to share. You don't have to share what company you're in, but roughly what percentage of revenue comes from email today for you? Where your system's breaking down, you feel you need to make some improvements. And just make a comment. Let's start a conversation going and see if we can help each other. All right. See you in the next video.